are two brown chicks changing the face of therapy on both sides of the couch.
Elisa, I'm never going to have as much energy as you. I just need you to understand that. It's just never going to happen. I'm here for you, though. And I appreciate. This is why we balance each other, because I'm just like both sides. Welcome back, guys. It has been a little bit of time. We have taken a short, maybe not so short for you, but short for us break. This is our 100th episode. If you listen to the last one, we had, yes, we have made it to 100, and we had a little bit of like back and forth about how should it be? What should we do? Da, 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 da. And then it was like, this is too much. It's a pandemic. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, everybody else that keeps getting, it just was a lot. So because of that, we just decided to really take the break and not try to plan a whole event. While we're also dealing with our practices, and while we're also, trying to make sure that we grow Melanin Mental Health, because we have some great things that are coming soon for Melanin Mental Health, including a complete revamp. So instead of trying to plan an event in the midst of all of that, we decided to just take advantage of the break, and now we're back to talk about. Say it again.
What we also discovered during this time.
Wait. Something's going on with the mic. You sounded so good, and now it sounds muffled.
Oh man, I sound muffled.
Hello.
Is it me?
Do I sound muffled?
Okay, that sounds better. I don't know what happened.
Try again.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know what that was. It sounded like okay, go ahead. What else did we learn during the pandemic?
Well, what we learned also is we are enough. We don't have to plan this other huge event. Like you and I, right? We started this, you and I. We had 100, you and I. So that's enough.
We were gonna have like 50 guests. No. All these people to supplement. And Elisa was like, we can do this. It's our 100th, and we can celebrate with just us. You're right. Yes. So we're here. We're going to continue like we have always been doing, and just come in and have these conversations and talk about these different areas. And we've actually gotten some suggestions for topics, which we love because it makes our job so much easier. So if there are certain things that you do want to talk about, let us know. Oh, one of the things that I just thought about, not the suggestion, but I remember we had somebody that reached out on the website that left a comment and was asking about like spaces. I don't have an answer to this, so I'm really just kind of putting it out there. Like if you have this as a resource, like let us know. But they were asking for like spaces that's not really therapy, but more of just like where you can just talk about what's going on in the world. So kind of like group, but not group therapy per se, but spaces for like Black women or Black people. I know Dr. Joy has a group on Facebook. I don't remember what the name of it is though. Black Girl Collective or something like that.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah.
So that might be a good resource.
Mm-hmm.
But all that to say, if you have a resource like that, that's not so much like therapeutic, but more just like a space. And what brought it up is because I have been doing some of these talks with Black employees through a contract that I have, and I've realized even as I'm leading the talks and like literally, like I said, it's not really therapy. It's more just like, let's just have a conversation. It has been helpful, and it's cool to be able to have conversations with people that are going through similar things that are kind of like outside of your circle a little bit. So if you have that as a resource, just let us know, and we'll make sure to get your information to the person that asked about it. So, but yeah, so if you have suggestions for topics, send it to us. Send us emails. Send us not DMs. You could comment on the old podcast. Go in the comments. Let us know what you would like us to talk about, and we are willing to do it. So, yep.
Yes.
So today we are going to talk about self-care during a revolution.
Yes.
And one of my favorite posts that you put up there, and I'm going to write that down to make it a shirt, is that self-care is a form of resistance.
Absolutely.
I quote that so much. when I'm talking to people about just the importance of like, and just like joy. Like I think I saw something, I don't know, maybe you posted it, I think you did, about joy being a form of resistance or something like that. Like I just think, excuse me, I just think that's such a like a huge and important aspect that we sometimes miss because we're so focused on like the act of doing and the act of moving forward that we forget that because other people don't respect our bodies, and I use bodies in a way of like just like the Ta-Nehisi Coates book or whatever, but they don't respect Black bodies and don't respect brown bodies. They feel like they can do anything they want to our bodies, that we have to then show them how to respect our bodies and how to take care of our bodies and how we take care of ourselves. So absolutely, that's like my favorite quote. But so talking about self-care as a form or self-care as a revolution or during a revolution, what were your thoughts, I guess, when you met? Because I've said this before and I always give Elisa credit. Social media, if y'all absolutely are obsessed and love our social media, let Elisa know, because that is a person that is doing all of the work. I just go in and be like, look, we got 40,000 followers. Look how you grew this page. That's my role in the social media. And I might share a post here and there on my personal page, but that's all Elisa. So what were you thinking when you did that post?
I was thinking of this idea that self-care is a form of resistance, and what we need to be doing to care for ourselves when this is happening, because that's really what we're seeing. And so, I was just kind of thinking about, even a soldier needs to rest in battle, right? Like you have somebody that's out there and alert while the other ones are resting. And so us needing to make sure that we're caring for ourselves, because this is a marathon and not a sprint. And what are we going to do in order to keep that same energy going? And again, resisting this idea that I'm a commodity, right? Resisting this idea that I'm just here to produce. And how is the way to do that? Is like, I'm going to care even more deeply for myself, even in the midst of this revolution. So that's kind of where I was coming, my thoughts on that day. And just because people are tired, like we're exhausted.
That part. I was having a conversation with someone, and they were saying how their white friends were kind of judging them for not protesting or acting in the same way that they were. And they had to let them know, like, my life is a protest. Like, I don't have to be out there. Just because you just become aware and just because you've just decided to act does not mean that I have to be showing up the same way that you are. I've been going to leaving my house every day is an act of protest. Being happy is an act of protest. And so I think that that's why it's so important for us to recognize that that we have to continue to take care of ourselves, because that in itself is us showing up and showing them what we're made of, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, so I did a post about this a while back, and that was the first thing I said was, there's many different ways to protest. And so us finding what is aligned with us and with our life, because not everybody can be out there protesting, right? Like not everybody can, just logistically. So not everybody's going to be able to be on that front line doing the marches and protesting, and that doesn't make us less involved or that we care less about what's happening. It's just, I'm going to find what ways align with me, and I'm going to put my effort into that. So don't feel bad if you can't be necessarily on the front line in that way.
Right. And be honest with yourself about what you're able to do and what you feel comfortable doing. I saw a lot of the stuff I'm going to say is in reference to me, like taking in content, because I feel like that's what I've been doing a lot of lately. But I'm sure you saw this post because we both know this person, but she posted like, as an introvert, how do you protest, right? And what that looks like. And so, yes, I'm not going to go out to the protest because I might get overwhelmed. I'm not going to necessarily be the person calling the people checking in, but I might donate. I might be having conversations with people. I might be posting. I might be trying to shed light in other ways. And so it's also not about doing all the things. because I think so many times we feel like if we're not doing everything, then we're not doing enough. And that's just not the reality. And so another post that I saw about this very enlightened, like 24-year-old, she's a beauty YouTuber, but she's been talking a lot about this stuff as well. And she was saying what she had to teach herself was there's only so much I can do. And once I've done all that I can do and there's nothing else for me to do, that means it's time for me to rest. And I think so many times we forget about that rest part. We just think once we're done doing all the things, it's keep going, find something else, find something else, find something else. But really, once you have done your work and once you have put your effort in, like it's okay to have an end for that time period. Not saying that you're done for good, because like you said, it's a marathon. But it's okay to say like, today I did this, this, and this. I'm done. I don't have to be up to 2 o'clock in the morning thinking of more things that I can do and and not sleeping well because it's on my mind, or not taking care of myself by going for a walk because I need to be calling people. Like, it's okay to it's time to rest.
Right. So. And I think there's that the other thing that you can do is support the people that the protests are being called for, right? So support Black businesses, amplify Black voices, do what you can to highlight the people that we are protesting about, and then again, like if you think about what a protest does is you want to call attention to an injustice and to make enough noise that people pay attention. And so there's ways that you can do this in your everyday life, right? And so I think it's a matter of just getting creative of how you can also do that.
Right. And I like that, because it's not a one-way street. It's very much
absolutely.
It doesn't have it's even in growing your awareness and learning and figuring out the blind spots that you have, or recognizing like, I've never thought about the fact that we need to put more money into Black businesses, or that, there's a huge disparity in healthcare and education and things like that. Like that's, so even if you're moving in those directions, like that's still you helping the cause. So
absolutely. So the next one is what you mentioned before with joy being an act of resistance. So it is to cultivate more moments where you get to experience joy. Right.
Guilt-free.
So what are you doing? Guilt-free. Like this is part of the resistance is I'm going to cultivate joy. I'm going to spend time with people I love. I'm going to do activities that are just going to be merely for the purpose of experiencing joy in those moments. Like that's a big FU, right? Like even though all of this is happening, even though you don't value my body, you sure as hell don't value my joy. Like I'm going to show you that I'm going to cultivate those moments of joy in the midst of all of this.
Right. And it doesn't take away from what is happening. It actually adds to, because both can be true. I can be fighting a fight. I can be caring about the cause and all of that, and I can still be happy. And I can still have moments where I'm enjoying myself and I can be carefree. I loved when that hashtag started, like carefree Black girl, carefree Black boys. Where it's just like showing the human side of it, because there's so much because there is so much work to be done, because there is so much that people of color have to face, it often feels like we don't get to show our happy side, because it's like, well, we have too much work to do to be happy. And so to have that where it's like, nope, we also have this as well. We also enjoy ourselves.
Well, and I think also if you think about the intention behind so much of just historically what's been done to our people, and it has been to rob us of joy, and it's really been to destroy our spirit, right? Like to destroy your spirit, and just kind of comply. And so again, experiencing that joy also, like I said, is a big FU, but it also re-energizes us and connects us more deeply with ourselves and with the people that we're experiencing the joy with. So that is something that I think we have to continue to do, even in the midst of the revolution. So the third one is, I know this can be really hard, and we talk about it, I think, all the time when anything big is going on, be it COVID, you know, right now with everything going on, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Vanessa Guillen, it's hard to kind of pull away from it. And sometimes I think there's even this guilt of like, well, I have to bear witness to the pain and all of that.
Yeah.
And again, it's about balance. But I think one of the big things is, again, filtering, unplugging from the news and media, not becoming oversaturated, but especially before you go to bed. So at least 2 hours before you go to sleep, just stop checking it. Just, I know it's hard, but just stop checking it, because you want to clear your mind before you go to sleep. Because if not, like you continue to process this in your sleep, and so that just kind of leads to this unrest that we have, and you may even wake up with anxiety. So as hard as it is, you know, I tell myself, because I'll struggle sometimes with this, and I just tell myself, you know what, like if something happens that I really need to know, somebody's gonna text me. You know what I mean? Like somebody's gonna inform. I'm gonna get. Like right before we started this, there's an alert on the phone of, you know, we're in Houston, and it's like alert Texas. You know, everybody got to wear a mask now, even though that's what the judge was trying to say. You know, anyways, you know, like. You're going to find out. And so that's I have to tell myself. I'm going to find out if something big happens and I need to be informed about it. And then at some point it is kind of this, like I heard somebody use some term similar to that it's like porn of this Black suffering.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where you just see it's kind of like when, you know, they would do the lynchings and people would come out to watch it. Like a show. And I feel like a lot of this, that is what's going on also. It's like we're just kind of seeing these murders and this injustice to where it desensitizes us at some point, overwhelms us, re-traumatizes us. So I think we have to be able to take a step back from it also.
Right. It's okay to have a break where you're not constantly seeing the visuals, because, and we've talked about vicarious trauma, and even just the fact that these things do rewire our brain. And so when in desensitizing and all that, so I think it's important to recognize, like, it's not just a matter of like, can you take more, and can you, it's like literally, do I need my brain to be trying to figure this out? Do I need to have any type of PTSD because my brain can't tell the difference that I'm not physically in danger in this moment? It's a lot of that just kind of like, it's okay to take that break. It's okay to, and it's the same thing as like just filling yourself back up, or filling your cup, right? Like if you are depleted, and if you're tired, and if you're drained, and if your brain is just working overtime, you have to take some time so you can re-energize. And so it sounds like that's pretty much what you're saying. Like just, and it's interesting because I feel like I do that, not in the best way though, because I'm still on my phone, but I'm not like scrolling. Like I play a game on my phone right before I go to bed. Like for about 15, 20 minutes, I am literally playing like a mindless game. And I had deleted all the games off my phone, but lately I realized I'm doing a lot more of it. And I think it is more of like a distraction. Like, so I'm not scrolling, I'm not reading, I'm not getting all that information. So it's just another way to turn my brain off a little bit.
We need some mindless stuff. I'll watch some mindless reality TV at some point. Like, I'm trying to be better. You know, I got a book I'll read, and I'll put on some spa music on Pandora. But yeah, we just have to make sure that, again, we are really protecting our bodies, our minds, and our spirits.
Yeah.
So that takes me to the next one, which has to do with how you start your day. And I talk to my clients in my private practice a lot about this, is start your day with some sort of practice that is going to ground you. So whether that is, for some people, it's prayer, meditation, journaling, but really mindfulness of some sort. And mindfulness, I know a lot of times people hear that and they're like, oh Lord, that's that, woo-woo stuff. And really what mindfulness is, it's just a way, it is focused attention, like training your brain to focus its attention on something. And what we want to focus it on is the now, right? Because that's why we have anxiety, is because we're focused on the terrible things that might happen in the future. And so mindfulness, and I think there's a Harvard study that showed, I think it's like 15 minutes a day. They showed I think it was 15 minutes a day for a month, people who practice mindfulness, which again, it's just about bring your attention to now, bring your attention to now.
Right.
Showed a significant increase as far as their ability to manage their anxiety. So it lowered their anxiety. It rewired their brain.
Right.
They could see the changes in just 15 minutes a day. And that's something you don't have to sit in a corner to do. Like, you can practice mindfulness washing your hands in the morning and experiencing it with all your senses. But one meditation that you may want to start your day with is the Black Lives Matter meditation by Dr. Candace Nicole, which I like it because it's a meditation, but it's also this, Black Lives Matter and resistance of some sort. So starting your day with messages like that really affirm you and your humanity and your life, really.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think that you summed it up really well. I think my form of grounding is getting outside and just going for a walk. And I live close to the bayou and stuff, so I can kind of walk and be through the trees and stuff like that. And so that's kind of a way to kind of really be paying attention to what's happening around me as well. But definitely meditation is so interesting, because anytime I talk to people about self-care and even just the fact that I'm a therapist, and I'm like, I know you probably hear about meditation all the time, and you probably feel like, why do I need to meditate? But I was like, and I said, and I'm a person that resists it a lot, but I understand the value of it. And like you said, it's not always like I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I'm going to do 5 minutes of meditation. Sometimes it's just practicing bringing myself back to what's going on right in the here and now. Sometimes it's when somebody's talking to me and I notice my brain is starting to go all the way over here to bring myself back to what's happening right now and making sure that I'm engaged in that conversation. And so I think that is still mindfulness. That is still you making sure that you're staying in the present instead of thinking about what could possibly happen in the future or what's happened in the past that you couldn't control or can't do anything about now. Is making sure that you stay present. So I get that, saying that is meditation, but it truly is a really good skill set to have.
Absolutely. And it rewires your brain. I mean,
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Oh, you want something that's going to rewire your brain? Come on. So,
yeah.
So the fifth one is, don't argue with people who have no intention of learning.
Save your energy.
You know what? I've had this happen, a few times, especially over the last months, and I just got to the point where I'm like, I'm not doing this. If you really, you have no intention of hearing what I'm saying, if you are just going to be in defense mode, you're not really wanting to hear or to learn from what people are saying. You're just more interested in defending your point of view. And then if you know me and you're not even valuing that it's coming from somebody that you know or you care about, I have no interest in wasting my time at this point. That's self-care.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to learn. They're not trying to learn. They're trying to debate you. And you know what? My energy is required in other areas. I saw Carlos Rodriguez. I follow him on Twitter, and he said something, and I'm butchering the actual quote, but it was our duty is to self, what was it, to justice, advocating for justice. It's not to correct stupidity. And I was like, you know what? Yes. This is what I need to be focused on. How am I going to create more of this in my life or in this in this world is not to correct stupidity, especially when it doesn't want to be corrected. So I think it's so easy to get triggered, especially these days. And you know what? You don't have to accept all the invitations that you may get to an argument.
Yeah.
And usually those people are just trying to get you activated for their own pleasure. It's like, I'm not going to give you that.
Yeah.
I'm too
and
tired.
I think a big part is to recognize when it is someone that's not willing to learn. I think sometimes we feel like it's our duty to teach. I've heard a lot of people say, like, well, people are paying attention now. I don't want to lose their interest, right? While they're paying attention, we want to make sure that we are engaging them and talking to them and sharing with them. But there is a way for you to recognize if somebody is actually interested. And there's a way for you to recognize if you are being interested in wanting to learn, or if you're just trying to debate. And the way I've been talking to people about this is, are you curious about that person's perspective, or are you trying to poke holes in their perspective? Because a lot of times in conversation, if I'm curious, it's going to be like, I want to know more. Tell me more about what you think and what you feel and why you feel this way. If I'm trying to poke holes, I'm asking questions to confuse your story, or I'm asking questions that I can like argue with you about, so I can argue the details or whatever the case may be. So if you are on the receiving end of that, somebody asks you a question or it's like, well, I just want to learn from you, I just want to know, then once you kind of state your thoughts, and if they're like, well, no, that's not true because da 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 da, or do you really think that because this over here said, if it's something like that, then that's how you know it's coming from a place of, I just want to argue with you. I don't necessarily care about what your opinion is or what your thoughts are. But if they're truly asking like, oh, where can I find more information? Or I didn't even know that was a thing. Can you tell me more about that? Then that's coming from a place of curiosity. So one, to be able to identify when somebody brings it to you, but also check yourself when you're talking to people. Check yourself to recognize, like, am I interrogating this person because I'm trying to find a way to support what I already think? Or am I actually being curious because I want to know what their thoughts are?
Yeah. Again, protect your body, protect your mind, protect your spirit. Everybody doesn't deserve to have a piece of you, right? And to have your piece. So protect it at all costs, especially now, where again, we keep getting the message that our lives don't matter. You got to show people that they do. And part of it is your energy. So my last one is rest often. Rest often. Like, if there was ever a year where rest was needed, it is this year. And it's not just this self-indulgent thing. Like, this is necessary. We are in the middle of a global disaster while there's a pandemic going on, while you go to the groceries and you might end up in a shouting match with somebody, or someone might cough on you, or some outrageous stuff. We gotta rest often, because rest is also what we need for our immune systems to be at optimal state. Rest is needed for our mental health. Rest. The one of the organizations that I really appreciate is the NAP Ministry. Have you heard of them? The NAP Ministry. NAP, N-A-P. NAP,
yeah, that's what I thought you were saying.
Oh, I love it. It's a beautiful movement started by a Black woman who really even talks about rest being resistance, and how Black bodies were not allowed to rest and nap. And so before COVID, they would have these like nap kind of events where people would go and just to rest. And so, yeah, resting is so important to care for ourselves, body, mind, spirit.
Definitely.
Keep saying it.
I was trying to find the quote I kind of said earlier. I was looking for it directly, but I cannot find it. But 100%, it is so important to just take a moment, and it's so important to recognize that rest is the only, like, literally when you rest, when you sleep, just literally if you're sleeping, that is when your body fixes itself. Like, That is the point of sleep, is that if I used to watch those videos of like scars or something like that, and it'll show like over the course of, you know, a week what happens if you like cut yourself, and most of the work is done when you're rested. Most of the work is done when you're literally sleeping. And so when we keep going and we keep moving and then it's hard for your body to do what it needs to do to re-energize and to get the nutrients and to do the work that it needs to do to have you prepared for the next day. So definitely, and there's, again, making sure that you're doing this in a manner that's not guilt-free, because there's so much guilt surrounding.
That is guilt-free.
That is guilt-free. Thank you. Because there's so much guilt surrounding if you're doing nothing. Well, you should be doing something else. Why?
And that's how we've been conditioned.
Yes.
Again, definitely. That's how that's part of the intergenerational trauma as well, is that your body should always be producing, doing. It's part of the culture of this country, that you're supposed to be doing. Can I just say, I love that you would watch videos on scars healing.
It's so random. It was interesting to see how that happened. It's so random. So
like random. What were you doing? What were you searching for at the time that you came?
Who knows? It probably was just something random. Like, I watch a lot of stuff like things growing and stuff like that. Just like, It's like, have you ever seen those videos? It's like, this is the most satisfying 5 minutes. Most of the time, it's not that satisfying, but sometimes it's like, that is interesting to see that happen. That is different. So who knows where it came from? But yes, that is.
We might add that to the list. That might be number 7.
Watch mind-numbing videos.
Episodes.
On healing.
On how the body heals itself. Yes,
it's interesting. Like I said, it's interesting just because, yes, when we sleep, it's always like that's when the most work is done, and this is why when people have sleep deprivation or anything like that going on, that's a form of torture. Like, you have to have that in your life.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I can't find the quote. I'm never gonna find it. But all right, well, that's all. I was really trying to find it because I liked it. Right, I will type it up. It's a video of her saying it, but somebody had typed it up, so I wanted to read it. But I'll type it up. But yeah, thank y'all for joining us for our 100th episode.
100. We appreciate your support. We love hearing, we love getting messages from you all that you're listening to it, that you're sharing it. So please keep sending us those messages. Keep sharing these episodes. Keep spreading the information of how we continue to care for our bodies, our minds, our spirits. And it is, well, they're not calling it Minority Mental Health Month anymore. They're calling it Black. Yeah, it's Black Indigenous people of color.
Oh, BIPOC. Okay.
Month, and so what a way to kick the month off by caring for yourself during this time.
Yes. So we appreciate you all. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all the things, and thank you for supporting us. Follow us across social media at Melanin and Mental Health, Melanin Health on Twitter. And head over to melaninandmentalhealth.com. Check out the website. Submit a listing if you're a therapist. Get ready for the changes. Look at the old website because some things are happening. So, so go check it out. And if you want to support us, you can always do those things, as well as merchandise. Right now with COVID, things are moving a lot slower, so it's taking a lot longer for things to get printed and shipped out, so just be prepared for that. But we always have merchandise. Like I said, I'm probably going to end up making a new shirt called Self-Care is a Form of Resistance, so look for that. And yeah, so that's what we have going on, and we appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you later.
Yes, bye.